Oh my gosh, that picture's terrible. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Sorry, I must have accidentally put my thumb on my camera. It is chilly here in Washington D.C. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everyone. And I know it's Black Friday, but I wanted to do a quick live stream to answer questions. Like I thought I'm here. I can do this. I was up and moving this morning relatively early. Good Thanksgiving, actually great Thanksgiving. We go to a friend's house, my college roommate and his family. Wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope you guys had a good one as well. I was reminded how much I like pumpkin pie. And also my mom makes this appetizer that's fig wrapped in bacon with blue cheese stuffed in it. Really, really good. Anyway, so we're here. Let's see. What do I have to tell you? So it is Black Friday. So I am running a special over at my Substack. So if you have not checked out my newsletter, it's just on Substack. It's every single day of the week, and sometimes on the weekends too. It is right now 20% off. So it's usually $6 a month, $60 for the year. It is now $5 a month or $50 for the year. So if you want to go over and support me, that would be amazing. I would love that. That would make me happy. So I assume it's going to be a more intimate crowd today, so we might not go for the whole hour, but I still want to take all of your questions as you have them. I always say to people, if you want to make a donation via the chat, I'd love to have you. I will tell you this, give you a little breaking news since you are hardcore and signed on to this Black Friday chat here in the US. I'm going to be doing more live streams. So I think I'm going to up it to twice a week. So I think I'm going to do one Monday or Tuesday and then one again on Friday. The Monday or Tuesday one I think will be later in the day, 6 p.m. Eastern time. But anyway, so that's just a little nugget of news. If you do want to donate, much appreciated. I will make sure I read your question up front. If not, no big deal. And I'll get to them. All right, so let's get started. And as always, I will go for as long as there are good questions. So if you got a question, ask it. Now's the time. Luke Growth. Luke says, hey, Chris, have you looked at the DNC chair race? If so, who could best go in there and tear down the consultant class and start to develop a winning message? The one thing I know is it's not Rahm Emanuel. Yeah, so I have looked at the DNC race. So there's basically only two announced candidates right now. Martin O'Malley, who's the former Maryland governor and ran briefly for president, and a guy named Ken Martin, who's the chairman of the Minnesota Democratic Party. Now, the two bigger-ish names that are out there that have not announced yet are Rahm Emanuel, former Chicago mayor, former Illinois congressman, former Obama White House chief of staff, who is currently the ambassador to Japan, and Ben Wickler, who is the Wisconsin State Party chair. So those are the sort of two names that are hanging out there. Yes, Luke, to your point, if you want to tear down the consultant class, you should not pick Rahm Emanuel, right? I mean, he is a Washington creature. That said, I think if that's your goal, don't pick him. Pick either Ken Martin from Minnesota or Ben Wickler if he runs from Wisconsin. Those are guys outside of Washington and would probably do things differently. I would not pick Martin O'Malley because I think he's kind of part of the permanent political class too, if that's your goal. Now, if your goal is more to raise a bunch of money, figure out what went wrong in 2024, Rahm actually could, and fight Trump, sort of be a foil to Donald Trump. Rahm actually could, I think, do a good job with that. I think if Rahm runs, he's the front runner to win. Again, it's 448 Democratic National Committee members who vote. So handicapping it's kind of hard because that's such a small universe of people. But I would think he would be the favorite to run and win. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Oh, by the way, also tell me, folks, what your favorite thing that you ate on Thanksgiving was. Even if you're not in the US, just tell me whatever your favorite thing was you ate on a random Thursday. But for me, my friends got the Ocean Spray cranberry like roll. It comes in a can and you like plop it out and you cut it up. So delicious. Okay. Craig Vance. Craig, are you concerned about the Trump appointees' lack of interest and lack of competence in governing? It seems like we're in danger of another crisis requiring government action, as with COVID. I mean, Craig, you got to give me some specific examples. I don't see lack of interest and lack of competence in governing. There are certainly people he has picked who have much less what I would call traditional experience in sort of these jobs. Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense nominee. He's served and been decorated for his service, but he's not your typical four-star general who gets nominated to be Secretary of Defense. Tulsi Gabbard, obviously, she served in Congress, but she doesn't have an intelligence background, really. So, yeah, I get that. But again, the thing I will say, and I've said it a bunch of times and I'll say it more, Donald Trump ran expressly on the idea that he wasn't going to pick the same old. He was going to pick different kinds of people. So the fact that he's picking different kinds of people with different kinds of experience should not, I don't think, surprise you. By the way, I'm in the market for a new microphone. So if you want to donate, you can do it because it'll go to my microphone fund. James UK, I've lost track. Have all the votes been counted yet? James, hold on. I think the answer is no. I'm going to the Washington Post election results page. Here it is. Okay, let's see where it's always California. Let's see where California is. California, 99% of votes have been counted. So almost all there. I'm looking to see if there's anywhere 99% in California, 99% in Nevada. Let's see where Utah is. 100% in Utah. 99 to 100. Almost all, but no, not all votes have been counted yet. Trump has dipped below 50% of the overall vote, but he is going to have won the popular vote. Let's see. Matthew White, which of Trump's appointees do you like so far, and which do you dislike? I don't dislike any of them. I think Rubio for Secretary of State was smart. I think Mike Waltz for National Security Advisor was smart. Trying to remember. I think Scott Bessent is interesting for Treasury Secretary. I don't know a ton about Treasury Secretary, but he's a guy who was like an heir to the George Soros. He's like a George Soros guy, a protege of George Soros. Kind of an interesting background. So that kind of intrigues me. Teresa Kender. Teresa, thank you so much for your donation. It's very much appreciated. And you didn't even ask a question. Thank you very much. That's going directly to the Chris Cillizza New Mic Fund. So thank you. Let's see. Let's see what else. Oh, dear. Let's see what else we got. Okay. MSU fan, give me an early 2028 prediction. Who are the two candidates and who wins? Holy moly, that's tough. So for Republicans, I guess I'm going to go with J.D. Vance, even though I think it's really fraught being Donald Trump's VP. He still has to be the guy that you consider the most likely because Trump is term limited. So I'm like, who's next? Probably Vance. On the Democratic side, I continue to think Gretchen Whitmer would be the best nominee, the governor of Michigan. I don't know. So who would win a Vance Whitmer? I think you would put the Democrats slightly favored there because we'll have gone through 4 years of Trump and Trump will have been president for 8 out of the last 12 years. It's not the exact same thing as being president for 8 straight years. Usually it goes to the other party when that happens. So I'm not totally sure, but I think I'd give Democrats a slight edge in 2028, I guess, sort of depending on the two candidates. God Awful Productions. Last week you said that Democrats should choose an outsider in 2028. And then later you said that it would be smart to choose Andy Beshear, an establishment politician. Which one should be the path forward? Yes. So I think I don't know. I think the question was, if I remember it, could Democrats nominate an outsider? And I said they certainly could. I did not mean they should. If I did, I misspoke. My thought is like, Mark Cuban, sure. I could see him running. I know people are talking about Jon Stewart running. I think that the fact that we are going to have 8 out of the last 12 years in 2028 having been a total outsider as president, a guy who'd never run for anything before in Donald Trump. I do think people are sick of establishment, regular old politicians. So that's a hurdle that Andy Beshear or Gretchen Whitmer or even sort of J.D. Vance, because that point will have been VP for 4 years and have been a senator for 2 years. That's a hurdle they're all going to have to sort of get over. So I don't know what the right thing is. To be totally honest, like it's always hard to forecast elections. It's really hard to forecast elections 4 years in the future because I don't know what does what do people think of the Trump term? Are they happy with it? Are they okay with it? Are they hate it? Like, I don't know. So it makes it a little bit harder to forecast. I hope that's fair. By the way, folks, if you have questions, make sure you are asking them. Now is the time. Sherry Zimmerman, Sherry, happy Thanksgiving long weekend, you and your family. Peace. Sherry, same thing. Thank you. MSU fan, what are your thoughts on that video of Kamala? So you're talking about the one that they released through the DNC like on Wednesday. Was not great. Not sure why they did it. She seemed off. I get why they did it. They did it to raise money and to try to rally the base and say, look, not everything is over. We haven't lost everything yet, but like I wasn't great. Joey Smith, do you think Americans would be generally supportive of a non-first past the post voting system? What about the political parties? I guess, we have ranked choice voting in some of these places. So that's a non-first past the post necessarily. Like they're divvying up votes for candidates who come in later. I don't know. Look, I think the Electoral College is weird. I don't think we're getting rid of it anytime soon, by the way, but I think it's a little weird as a system. So I don't know. Like, people are just used to that. So I guess they don't think of the weirdness, but it is weird. But Joey, do me a favor in the comments, throw in non first past the post stuff so that I can sort of analyze it. Adam G says, is this starting? Oh, this is starting. It started. Ben Thompson. Ben says, Chris, if you had to choose a celebrity outsider candidate, who would you most like to see? And what are the odds Trump overturns the ACA? Okay, so I think it's extremely unlikely the Affordable Care Act gets overturned, mostly because it's popular and Republicans have no alternative to it. So that one's easier. If I had to choose a celebrity outsider candidate, gosh, that's hard because it's like the whole world. I could see The Rock running for something, genuinely, like for president. John. Okay, can you hear me now? Did I do it? Okay, you can hear me. Success. I need a new microphone. I bump it all the time. And yes, I'm going to get a wireless microphone. I hear all of you. I hear all of your complaints. I'm so sorry. I will work on it. But I'm back, and I'll try not to touch the microphone very much. As long as you can hear me, we're good. Let's see. Adam G, do you think Joe Manchin could have beaten Trump? No. I just don't think Joe Manchin could have been the nominee. I guess maybe if the party like nominated him, maybe, but like I just don't think he could have been the nominee. I think there would have been a revolt among liberals. So I think he would have not have wound up doing it. Mark W. Chris, you got to try my stuffed devil eggs with shrimp and bacon. I do have to try that. Those sound amazing. My mom made deviled eggs yesterday. I don't love, they were just plain. There was nothing on top. I don't love plain deviled eggs, but anyway. XPFC Wintergreen says, more live stream is good news. Thanks, Chris. Yes. So for people who just got onto the stream, or I screwed up, I'm going to do more than one live stream starting next week. I think I'm going to do two. One earlier in the week, and then this one on Friday at 1:00. So I'll keep doing that. Mark W, will Kamala run in 2024? I feel like this is a time machine question. She did run in 2024. Emeritus, hey Chris, happy Thanksgiving. Is there anything you are worried, hopeful for during the next Trump term? I mean, I'm sort of wondering what his governance looks like. You know, can he get stuff done? Republicans have control of the House and the Senate and the White House. So, you know, can they do stuff? You know, what does it look like? What does the Democratic Party's soul searching look like? Is that, is that real? Is it, or is it cursory? Do they change who rises in the Democratic Party? Like who starts doing more stuff publicly? I just saw before I came on that Chris Murphy, the senator from Connecticut, is going to be on Meet the Press over this Sunday. I think that's kind of interesting. I think he's going to try and raise his profile. So I'm interested in all that stuff. Christopher Wyatt, will you be watching Survivor Series tomorrow? Probably not, because the Texas A&M game is on, and we are big Texas A&M people in my family. So I will probably be watching that rather than Survivor Series. Harrison and Derek Show say thumbs up. Yes, like this. We got 150 people on here, but only 33 likes. Come on, people, do it. JW, what do you think the left strategy will be? What do you think the left strategy will be moving forward? Shifting toward economic populism or moving to the center? Great question. I saw the reporting on it, like the sourcing on it's a little sketchy. Like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says she might run for president. It's like, yeah, I don't know if she actually said that, but like that's kind of interesting if she does, because she would represent the economic populist Bernie Sanders wing of the party. I do think populism has potential within the Democratic Party in the same way it has potential within the Republican Party. I think that Democrats have a brand problem around wokeism and sort of radical policies, and I think they have to fix that. The one I always cite is Missouri in this election. So in Missouri, Donald Trump won by, I think it was about 18. Josh Hawley gets reelected by 15 or 16. And yet that same electorate approves an increase in the minimum wage to $15 and approves easing limitations on abortions in the state. So like the problem is those are Democratic ideas, right? I mean, that you'd much more closely associate those ideas with Democrats than Republicans. Those are Democratic ideas. The problem is the brand. You put a D close parentheses after it and you lose. So that's the problem. Missile 18, keep up the great work, Chris. We love your insights. Thank you. Very kind of you. MSU fan, what Republican candidate do you think has the best chance to win in 2028? Win the general election or the primary? I guess I'll go with the general election. I mean, look, I think Vance would have a pretty good chance. He's from the Midwest, populist. He'll be the sitting VP. I mean, again, so much of it depends on how does this Trump term play out, and I don't know the answer to that. XPFC Wintergreen says, my mother-in-law makes turkey stuffing with smoked oysters, 5 stars. Interesting. So I like a more basic. So if I had my druthers on stuffing or dressing, as they call it in the South, if I had my druthers, I would do the basic stuff, bread, and then I'd do celery and I'd do sausage. That's my jam. Kyle Ton from Minnesota here. Ken Martin came into the race with 80 plus endorsements from people who can vote in the DNC race. Do not underestimate him. Yes, you're exactly right. He has a ton of endorsements, way more than Martin O'Malley right now. And, you know, as I said at the top in regards to the DNC race, it's a very insular thing. It's 448 DNC committee members, which are like activist types. Like there's no guarantee that like Rahm Emanuel would come in and win, right? I think that's who the sort of Washington crowd would like, but maybe that'll hurt him in the long run. Paul Robinson. Paul, thank you for your donation. Paul says, I don't care much for politics, but appreciate your content. Well, thank you. My goal with this channel and my Substack newsletter and pretty much everything I do is to make politics more understandable and more relatable for people. Like I just feel like we're people, the bar for entry is too high for politics. I think a lot of times I feel like we got to say like, look, this stuff matters. It's important. Let's break it down. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the history. Let's talk about, where we think things are headed, the so what and the now what of all this. Like, so what? Why does this matter? Now what? What's coming next? That stuff to me is like, I don't even think you have to like politics. Like, you have to care about your country or the world in order to care about that stuff. So I'm trying to make it more relatable. But thank you, Paul. That's really kind. And thank you for the donation. Let's see. Mark W., do you consider this a mandate since the numbers are close even in the swing states? I wrote about this, Mark, on my Substack. Mandate is like a political mandate is just sort of a made up word, to be totally honest. Like you can call whatever you want a mandate. And Trump did say he has a mandate after this election. I think it was a convincing and across the board win in that he won all 7 swing states. Yes, it was close, but he won all 7 of them. Not like he won 5 and lost 2. He won all 7. So that's point 1. Point 2, Trump improved his percentage showing from 2020 in 49 of the 56. The only place he didn't was Utah. He also improved his showing across basically every demographic group. He did better with whites, better with blacks, better with Hispanics, better with women, better with men. So it feels kind of sweeping in that regard. I don't know if it's a mandate. Again, I think Republicans were going to win the Senate, whether Trump won or not, because the math was just in their favor. And in the House, I think the final number is going to be 220 to 215. So it's a 2-seat majority. Okay, let's see. Robert Pensnick, RFK Jr. has said that using heroin improved his study habits. Should it be prescribed? Don't know enough about it. I guess my default is like heroin is illegal for a reason. But I know lots of people say that our drug policies have failed and we need to rethink them. I've never done heroin, so I can't really speak to it. Let's see. Snakes. Chris, does raising money campaigning really matter, even though Harris got a lot more money and ran a better campaign and lost? Also, what makes you think Dems will run another woman? So I think you're right that there's concerns about Democrats running another woman among Democratic sort of insiders. I don't know if an average person feels that way, but among Democratic insiders, I think there is a worry there. To me, I just think Whitmer is the best profile, Midwestern female governor, but I get it. Does raising money and campaigning matter? I think I've talked about this, but I'll talk about it again briefly. In the presidential race, money is actually less important than you might think. And the reason for it is because there's just so much. I think I saw like 8 to 10 billion is going to have been spent on this election, the presidential. So like in that, getting outspent by 300 million. It's not ideal. I think you'd rather have more money, but it doesn't feel to me as determinative as it would in like a state house race. If you have a 10-1 spending advantage in a state house race, you're probably going to win. Depending on the district, but if it's a close district, you're probably going to win. If you have a 3-1 spending, 2.5-1 spending advantage in the presidential race, I just think it matters less. Campaigning or the campaign. I don't know. I do think Harris ran the better traditional campaign. She kept her turnout operation in-house. They tried to stay on message. But look, I think Trump ran a pretty good campaign. I always said throughout this campaign, his 2024 campaign was significantly better than 2020 and miles better than 2016. The problem is that Trump makes it hard to say he ran a good campaign because he's sort of all over the place, like what he talks about, and he doesn't stay on message, all those things. So, I just don't think it was like a terrible campaign. Mark a lot. Kamala did a good job considering, but she's not a very good candidate, in my opinion. I'm hoping both sides come out with a yet unknown candidate. I agree. I think Kamala Harris is like a B- C+ candidate. I think she's fine, but I think Democrats tried to make her into something she wasn't, which was this like transformational, generational candidate. I don't know. I never felt that way. I think most Democrats were so crazy enthusiastic because they were just thrilled that Joe Biden wasn't the nominee anymore. like they would have taken this coffee cup would have gotten some Democrats excited. And I wrote about this, and I won't swear, but a lot of Democrats weren't happy about this, but I wrote that I thought Tim Walz was like a dud as a pick. I don't think I don't think Walz lost her the race, not even close. And I don't think Josh Shapiro, who I thought she should have picked, would have won her the race or even won her Pennsylvania. But I just think he was kind of a dud. And I explain why. It's on my Substack. Just type Substack and Chris Cillizza, Cillizza. Like I said, I am doing a Black Friday sale today. It's 20% off subscriptions over at my Substack. So check it out. Eric Mays, you already mentioned him in passing, but do Maryland politicians have any futures? Hogan, O'Malley, Wes Moore, etc. So out of those three, Wes Moore's future is by far the brightest. He's the current governor. I would assume, given sort of the Democratic lean of Maryland, he's likely to get reelected in 2026. And then I think he'll look really hard about 2028, about running. And I think he'd be a very formidable candidate, potentially. Very talented, amazing resume. O'Malley, he's on the back end of it. He's run for president. He's been the governor for 2 terms. I think he would love to be DNC chair. I guess I could see a world where he is. And then Larry Hogan, he's just not in the right place in terms of the party. He ran a really good campaign. For Senate, he overperformed the top of the ticket by like 15 points, and he still lost by like 6. It's just impossible to be a Republican for federal office in Maryland. So I don't know what he does next. Okay. I got a lot. I'm sorry. I'm struggling through because I've got all these people saying my mic failed. Chris, are you concerned for SSI and Medicare under what appears to be a hard right-leaning regime? No, I don't think Donald Trump's going to touch Medicaid and Medicare. I just don't, or really Social Security. Because think he knows it's really unpopular, and he doesn't like doing things that are really unpopular, if for no other reason. Sorry, I'm call tech support. I like that, Mark. Call tech support. Brandon Ives, how about a wireless mic so you don't unplug it during the stream? Yes, Brandon, you are exactly right. That's what I need. I actually have pulled up this mic over here from Amazon. It's the Rode, Rode, with a line through it. I think it's Norwegian. USB, professional grade USB condenser microphone. That's a USB, but I think that's what I'm going to do. That's my plan. Nathan Baker, I went back and looked at the point when your mic went out. It was when your lips touched the mic and pushed it. It must be a loose connection. It is. So this plug right here is like, I can't even touch the mic because it just falls out. That's what happened. Good job though. Forensic accounting. Okay. These are all people telling me the sound is back. That makes me happy. Okay, sound is back. David Healy, is AOC running? David, I talked about it a little. If I were her, I would totally think about doing it because I think her options are as follows. One, like hang out in the House and become like super powerful there. Two, either primary someone for the Senate or wait until Chuck Schumer retires and then run for Senate. Not bad, but Schumer is, well, all right, we're going to play my favorite game. How old is Chuck Schumer? I'm going to say Chuck Schumer is 73. Hold on. 74. Pretty good. All right, so you figure maybe one more term for Schumer. Do you want to wait another 6 years or not? So that's an okay option. Then option 3 is run for president. She will be legally able to. She'll be 35 by 2028. She'd get a ton of attention. She'd raise a bunch of money. And her fallback, I don't know what her fallback would be. Maybe she would just, maybe she'd be just like a national figure. I don't know. So I could totally see it. To me, out of those options, I think for her, I would either wait to run for Senate when Schumer retires or run for president in 2028. Staying in the House forever, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a waste of her talents because I don't think she's going to be Speaker of the House. Anyway, Alda Marino, if Trump becomes a lame duck in 2026, do the Republicans turn to Vance, or is there a more MAGA Donald Trump Jr. guy to pick? We'll see. In truth, Donald Trump will be a lame duck, politically speaking, the day he takes office because he can't run for another term. The problem is if you're JD Vance, it's really hard to just immediately kind of start putting in the very early pieces of running for president in 2028 because Donald Trump's not going to like that. I have said, I made a video on this, that Donald Trump Jr., I think, has a huge amount of power in terms of picking White House figures right now and is a very well-liked figure among the MAGA movement. I think Donald Trump, to the extent he cares about anyone, is loyal to anyone. He's loyal to his family, like his bloodline family. So I can see it. I wouldn't like fall over if Donald Trump Jr. started running. The only thing is Donald Trump Jr. is really good friends with JD Vance and pushed Vance to be VP and leaned on his dad to pick Vance to be VP. So, maybe that complicates it. I don't totally know. Hold on, my son is texting. Yes. Please hold. I'm texting my wife. This is my life. You're seeing the logistics of my life. Let me tell this. Yes, and call mom. Okay, I'm back. Dwight Baldwin, what will happen to MSNBC? Oh, Dwight, I think it'll be fine. I mean, look, do I think that cable TV is going to be like a dominant force in the culture anymore? No, I don't. But MSNBC, yes, I know ratings are down right now, but gosh, for her to pick you up. They're down right now, but MSNBC will be the resistance of the Trump presidency, right? Like if you don't like Donald Trump, I think your natural instinct is going to be to turn on MSNBC. Now it will be less people because I think people are turning on things on YouTube now, or listening to podcasts or watching Instagram feeds that they like or TikTok feeds. So the audience, cable is never going to be what it once was. It's a declining commodity. It just is. But you can still make money off a declining commodity. So I think it will bounce back. My bigger worry is CNN because it's not Fox and it's not MSNBC. What is it? And what it is matters a lot in terms of people watching it. Emeritus, my bet is Raphael Warnock rises for 2028. I think he's hugely talented. I actually think we're not talking enough about Raphael Warnock. If you don't know him, he is senator from Georgia, African-American, amazingly charismatic speaker. I agree. Keep an eye on him. Very smart. Mike, what will Trump's relationship be like with Europe and the UK, given the cooperation that's vital on so many things? We'll see. Look, Trump's relationship with everyone and everything is transactional. It just is. And I think that's how it will be. I think he represents a greater sort of shaking up threat to the World War II alliances than any president who's been president since World War II. But I think that's how a lot of people want it. I think a lot of people feel like, why are we paying into these things and other people aren't? And, so I think he was clear about his views and people voted for that. You don't have to agree with their vote, but they did vote for it. And he wasn't pretending he's something that he isn't. So I think that's what people want. I think that's what he'll do. By the way, we're only at 61 likes. So you got to like this. People were over 200 on Black Friday. Thank you all for joining. Hold on. Okay, Blaze. Blaze says she might be a little young for 2028, but at some point she will sure run for president. Before that, though, she runs for governor and for Senate. I assume you're talking about AOC. And yeah, so governor is up in 2026. In New York, Kathy Hochul is the current governor. Is not terribly popular. I don't know if AOC would want to be governor. I'm not sure. But look, she's a hugely powerful political force. Fundraising, national attention. I mean, she'd have it all. Let's see. Adam G. How do you feel about the new rebel offensive in the Syrian civil war? Will Tulsi advocate for us to intervene and save Assad? So I don't know enough about the new rebel offensive in the Syrian civil war. I will say that I think I did a video earlier this week about the 3 cabinet nominees I thought might not get confirmed, other than Matt Gaetz, who's obviously out. And she was in there with the highest odds of not getting confirmed. And I think at least in part it's because of nice/sympathetic things she said about Russia and the fact that in 2017 she went still somewhat inexplicably to meet with Bashar al-Assad in Syria. So yeah, Snake C says Carlson versus Stewart 2028 will be wild. I mean, I don't want to rule anything out, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Brandon Ives, Georgetown is 5-1. Have you been to a game and will they turn the corner this year? I've not been to a game yet. We've played a cupcake schedule with the exception of Notre Dame, who blew us out. So I'm very not optimistic. We have more talent this year. Thomas Sorber is our big man and he's really good. We play Albany tomorrow. We should obviously kill them. Let's see what the Big East schedule looks like. I'm skeptical, even though I still believe in Ed Cooley. Let's see. Michael, I view Gavin Newsom with the same problem as Kamala Harris. He's good at getting to the top in a very blue state, not appealing to a broader coalition. So I don't think he's going to win in 2028. Yeah, I do think that's problematic, Michael. I also, one other thing I'll note, first of all, you're right. So it's not a great training ground to win general election votes by winning statewide in California because it's such a Democratic state, right? So, and I think we saw a little bit of that with Kamala Harris. The other problem with being from California is the whole like communist, lefty, liberal thing is more easily stuck to you than when you're not from California. So, I think the whole communist Kamala, comrade Kamala, that actually worked better than I thought because she's from San Francisco and California. And obviously Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco, is now the governor of California. I do think he'll run. I do think there'll be a moment where we think he might be the nominee. I guess it wouldn't fall over if he was the nominee. I mean, I don't rule anything out. Blaze, do you see the Trumps as being a new political dynasty? I think they would like to be. So if you're following this, Laura Trump, who is Eric Trump's wife, is pushing to be the Senate appointee in Florida for Marco Rubio. Sorry, I'm approving screen time requests from my son, my other son. If that happens, she's not really from Florida. In fact, she's not from Florida. She's from Wilmington, North Carolina. But if that happens, Ron DeSantis will pick the senator. I don't think he picks her, but if that happens, then you get Don Jr. running for something, whether it's a governor of a state or president. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think Donald Trump Sr. would love for his family to be a political dynasty. I don't know if it'll work, but if Laura Trump gets into the Senate somehow and Don Jr. runs, well, now we're talking. John Doe, hello from Tashkent, Uzbekistan, Chris. Watch since CNN. Thank you for what you do and happy holidays. Same to you, and thank you for checking out this channel. Let's see. I'm trying to get people who have not asked questions. The Westerosi Ninja. Why does being a woman make for a better profile? It's better to be a Midwestern male governor, be honest. Okay. I'll be honest. There have been, including Trump, there have been 45 people who have been elected president of the United States. 45 of them are men. 44 of them are white men. So yes, you're absolutely right that if we're looking at history, it would suggest being a white man makes you most likely to be elected president. At some point, that's going to change. Barack Obama got elected as a black guy named Barack Obama. So, it's the right candidate at the right moment. But yes, historically speaking, you are right. Being a white male is your best chance of getting elected president right now based on history. S. Ruin, what's the likelihood of Linda McMahon being approved for Department of Education, and how likely is it to dissolve the department? How will that impact education? I think she's going to get confirmed. I don't think they're going to have a huge fight over the Department of Education and her being confirmed in the Department of Education. She's already been in a Trump cabinet. She's already been vetted once. So I think she will be. I think they will try to return education and funding of education to the states. So it's not like public school is going to run out of money. There will be money. It will just be allocated via a different entity. Do they go through with getting rid of the Department of Education? Trump has talked about doing it for a really long time, as have Republicans, and they haven't done it yet. I mean, Newt Gingrich ran in 1994 on doing that. It's obviously not 1994 again, and we still have the Department of Education. I don't know if they go through full scale, but I do think they will push a lot more of the decision-making and the money to the state and local level. Tabby D, will Kamala run again for president? I think this last run finally gave her a universal name ID needed to compete in 2028. So I don't think she runs in 2028. And the reason is, yes, she does have name ID. You're exactly right. And it's why any poll that you did today, she's going to be the front runner for the Democratic nomination. I think having lost to Trump will leave a bad taste in a lot of Democratic donor and activist mouth when it comes to Harris. So in my view, what she should do is kind of rehabilitate herself a little bit, run for governor of California in 2026. It's an open seat. Newsom is term limited. I don't know if she would walk into it, but she would be a heavy favorite to win the Democratic nomination and be governor. Spend 4 years as governor, get reelected. 2032, if a Democrat doesn't win the White House in 2028, you'd be right in the mix there. Does she want to wait that long? Or does she want to? I think 2028 is going to be tough for her. I think people are going to be looking for a fresh face, and she's not going to be it. Green Giant, hey Chris, love your videos. Thank you. That's so nice of you. Question is, do Democrats ever have a path to ever take the Senate again? Who are the potential upcoming targets? Susan Collins in Maine. Where else? So, look, yes, forever. Yes, of course they have a path. 2026. Could be tough. So they would need 3 4 seats, excuse me. So they would need 4 seats to take back the majority. That's hard. The two obvious ones, let me just look up the class, but I'll tell you the two obvious ones while I'm doing that. One is Susan Collins in Maine. She represents a state that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden won in 2024 and 2020, but she's also won 5 terms. Like she's proven that she can win as a Republican in that state. Will Democrats go after her? Yes. Should they go after her? Yes. Will she lose? Don't know. The other obvious one is Tom Tillis in North Carolina. We've seen North Carolina is a swing E state. Republicans, Trump has won it in 2016, 2020, and 2024, though it's been close. So I think they might do that. The problem for Tillis is he's kind of a moderate. He's not a MAGA guy. Does he get a primary challenge from a more Trump aligned person? Does that make him stay in the race? Does that person win the primary? Does Tillis win the primary? Does Tillis retire? There's a lot going on there. All right, so let me just look at the other states on the Democratic side, like Democratic pickups. Alabama is up. That's not going to be close. Alaska, I think, is not going to be close. Arkansas, not going to be close. Georgia is a tough state for Democrats to hold. That's John Ossoff, even though it's a Republican state. Let's see. Idaho, Iowa, maybe Joni Ernst. Kansas, probably not. Kentucky, no. That'll probably be an open seat, though, in 2026. Mitch McConnell will probably retire, but a Republican will win it. Bill Cassidy in Louisiana, no. Collins, we talked about in Maine. Mississippi, no. Montana, no. Nebraska, no. North Carolina, we talked about. Oklahoma, no. South Carolina, no. South Dakota, no. Tennessee, Texas, West Virginia, probably not. Wyoming. So no, not a lot of great options. I would say North Carolina and Maine are the two obvious ones. But these things come around. They always do. They come around. So like eventually, remember, it's a 6-year cycle. So if you had a good election 6 years ago, it's going to be hard this time around, 6 years hence, because you got to defend all the seats you want. Let's see. Urgent Lad. What do you think about the credibility of allegations on Tulsi Gabbard being an Assad sympathizer? I personally think the evidence is too thin to non-existent. Look, I don't know anything. All I know is in 2017, she made a trip to Syria that no one really knew about at the time, and she met with Bashar al-Assad. I know nothing beyond that. We'll find out, I assume, during her confirmation hearings. Jean-Luc Providence, Vance, Tulsi 2028, baby. Potential ticket. Mr. Jonas, in my view, it's the Supreme Court's fault that Trump won. Would you agree, Chris? No, I would not agree. Trump won because more people wanted him to be president. I don't think the Supreme Court had anything to do with it. He ran on exactly what he would do. He didn't hide the ball at all. He said, we're going to deport people here illegally. We're going to lower prices. We're going to end wars. And that's what people wanted. Now, if he doesn't do it, then I think there's a potential boomerang effect there. But no, I don't because of the immunity ruling, I don't totally get what I get. I don't totally get where you're going with that. PJ, why is all the Midwest Democratic focus on Shapiro and Whitmer? What about Trey Evers? Seems like a teacher principal leading the ticket better than another lawyer, and he's the guy who took down Scott Walker. Yeah, Tony Evers is interesting. Let's see how old. I'm going to say Tony Evers is 71. I think he might be a little on the old one age. 73. I don't think we're nominating. So let's see, November, his birthday was on election day. So he turned 73 on election day. So that means he'll probably be 74, 75 in 2 years, be in his late 70s in 4 years. I don't think we're going back to the, I don't think we're going back on the Democratic side to nominating a super old guy. I think the Biden thing has convinced them to do other things. Kornheiser 10, nice flannel. I had one of those in college in the 80s. Ouch. Dude, this is modern. It's everything that's old is new again. Missile 18, how much is the new mic? It is $169. Not too expensive. If you want to donate, feel free to donate. Let's see. Jean-Luc Provenance, I like that show. Chris is a fair political commentator. I certainly try to be. Emeritus says AOC should primary Kathy Hochul. That'd be interesting. Amadeo Eichberg, what role do you think JD Vance will play as vice president? Will Trump listen to his views, or will he be marginalized like other VPs? I mean, VP is not the best, right? Because you have like it looks like you're powerful, but you're not super powerful, right? So I think Trump listens to Trump. Could he listen a little to Vance? I guess. I think Vance's goal is avoid the Mike Pence situation where Trump totally turns on you, right? Because Vance wants to be president. Vance is like 40. So he wants to be president. So he's going to do what Trump says and make nice with Trump in every way possible. Let's see. MB, thank you for the donation. Do you think Mayor Pete would have beaten Trump? I don't. I don't think there was somebody out there, with the possible exception of like a Barack Obama, like somebody who couldn't run. I don't think there was anybody out there who could beat Trump in this election. I don't. I just the way it played out. John Suda. John, thank you so much for the donation. John says, you and others have been saying that the mainstream media is dying. Here's a question that I find more concerning. Is journalism dying? And can people like you save journalism if the MSM does indeed die? Man, that worries me. So here's part of the problem. The backbone of journalism is news gathering, right? It's finding facts and reporting those facts. The problem is it's really hard to make money as a business on that because Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and Threads and Blue Sky and YouTube, people immediately take those facts and they make their own video and then they make money off of that video. They don't have to pay any money to gather those facts. So the fact gathering is really expensive and also hard to make money off of. But without the fact gathering, we don't have anything really. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not out grinding reporting every single day. I'm mostly looking at what's out there from sources I trust. I'm talking to some folks and then I'm doing analysis. So that's what worries me. I think, John, it's a really good question because that's the hardest part of journalism to make money off of, but it's also kind of the spine of journalism. It's not really what I do. I kind of was in that business for about 15, 20 years early in my career and I'm not anymore. But man, that concerns me. Let's see. Mike says, thanks, Chris. I get worried about a fractured West, a front-footish China and Russian tantrums. Yeah, I think you're right. My friend 4am Pizza. Hi, Chris. I think you do well on OnlyFans. What is the probability that a future Democratic president would appoint Obama to the Supreme Court a la William Howard Taft? I don't think Obama wants to be on the Supreme Court. I don't know, but I don't think he wants to be. I think he's happy doing what he's doing, making a ton of money, doing a kind of bunch of interesting things, writing the second book of his memoir. I think he's fine. Ed Monroe, I like AOC, but she'd be a bad choice for a big reason Hillary was. The right saw her coming and has been campaigning against her for over a decade now. Yes, no question. She would be the a scapegoat, sort of, lightning rod. No question about that. Yeah. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it would raise her a lot of money. It would raise Republicans a lot of money. And then we'd have to see sort of how independents thought of that. But Ed, that's a really good point. Let's see. Fabian Tiggy, you simply cannot run a minority woman again for 50 years at least. Wow. 50 years? Poker Dog, what about Ohio and Florida for Senate in 2026? Hold on. I didn't think they were up in 2026. Let me just look. 2026 Senate races by state. This is my life. I have a thing here. All right, here we go. So Florida will be up, right? Because it's Rubio. Maybe competitive, maybe Ohio, because of Vance. I see what you're doing, right? So yes, so both of those would be up. I think Ohio's too far gone, and I think Florida is too, to be honest, for Republicans. Like Trump won Florida by 13, but maybe they compete there. But you're right. Well done. Mark W says, all my questions are great. Don't skip, please. Answer them all. Mark, I'm trying to get to everybody, but thank you. I appreciate your vote for your questions. Adam Hester, my favorite moment of this channel so far was when Chris finished reading the announcement of Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. LOL moment in your short but fabulous streaming history. Yeah, I mean, that was wild. Fabian Tiggy says the top 10 GOP senators are 1,000 years old. I don't know if they're 1,000 years old, but they are definitely on the older end. Pete Pineda, Tulsi or Nikki Haley could win pretty easy depending on who Dems would be running. Maybe. I don't know if Tulsi would win, but I don't know. Yeah. Green Giant says, hey, Chris, thanks for answering my question about the Senate earlier. No problem. I love those questions. Appreciate it. I think it's going to be a long time until Democrats win it back. 26 and 28 are not great Senate elections for Democrats. I will tell you that. Losing Bob Casey was a big, big loss. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. Joe Reardon, do you think Democrats have a shot at the Florida, Ohio Senate seats? Again, you have an appointed senator probably in both of those races, right? And that tends to be a little more volatile than an incumbent senator, but I think they're going to be hard. Now, it's a midterm with Trump in the White House, so usually that's good for the party out of the White House, but I'm not totally sure. RJ Ware, I'm reading a lot of parallels to this election year to 1988 and the pivot to the middle, i.e. Bill Clinton. What exactly did Bill Clinton do? Okay, so 88, Dukakis is the nominee. He loses to George H.W. Bush. That ensures 12 straight years of Republican rule. Dukakis is seen as a Massachusetts liberal and too left, and the party abandons that. And this guy rises, governor of Arkansas, that not a lot of people had heard of, saying, we need a third way. We need, between liberal Democrats and conservative Republicans, we need a third way. Moderate politicians, centrist. This is Bill Clinton. And he builds that into a national movement. Could that work in the modern party system with Democrats being very liberal and Republicans being very conservative? I don't know. I think it would be really, really interesting. Jean-Luc Provenance, do you think Hillary Clinton might run again? Absolutely not. John Suda, a follow-up question. If the MSM saved itself by doing less journalism and more influencer stuff, what would be the point? Yes, I am alluding to your article, my big idea on how CNN can save itself. Look, to me, you can build brands around really good reporting. You can also build brands around really good analysis. You don't just have to be like an influencer and just talk. I think you can build a brand like Maggie Haberman is a brand built around really good reporting. I think I'm trying to build a brand on really good, smart, in the moment analysis. I don't think it has to be one or the other, but I do think you have to kind of lean into the personalities. That would be my thought. Okay, couple more. Joey Smith, who is Republicans' favorite Democrat? Who is Democrats' favorite Republican? Republicans' favorite Democrat. That's a good question. You know what? Maybe I'll write that. I don't know, Joey, right off the top of my head, which means me think I should write it. PJ says, I'll ask this again from past live stream. Glenn Jacobs for governor of Tennessee in 2026, or does he take a lower job for Trump? So that is Kane from World Wrestling Entertainment fame. He is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Do we think he runs for governor? I mean, that'd be fascinating. Interesting. Emeritus, Nikki Haley would have won in a Reagan-esque landslide. She would have won in 2024. I agree. Use News, You News. Opinion, sensationalism, clickbait, fear-mongering have a higher return on investment than fact-finding. Yeah, I think you're right. Unfortunately. PJ, Mark Halpern seems to be trying to do both. Yeah, I think what Mark is doing is kind of similar to what I'm doing, which he's doing a little bit more like shoe leather reporting. I'm doing a little bit more analysis, but yeah, I think we're both kind of in similar-ish space. Let me see if I missed any questions. Just trying to go through, make sure I didn't miss anybody who didn't get to ask one. Billy D says heroin is not a good idea. Okay, Billy, that's good clarification. Did that. Sorry, I'm just checking. Okay, just don't want to miss anybody. RJ Ware. Let me end on this. I got two. RJ Ware, and then we're going to do John Suda. RJ says, question, is Trump a one-off? In other words, can J.D. Vance replicate his coalition? He doesn't seem as likable, but he is very smart and talented. That's the fundamental question, RJ. It's a great question, and it's a critical question going forward. Is the Latinos, Trump won 1 in 3 non-white voters, his improved showing among young voters, especially young men, is that replicatable going forward for someone who's not Donald Trump, even if it's Donald Trump Jr. or J.D. Vance or someone like that, someone who's Trumpy, but not him? That's the question. In 2008 and 2012, what did those elections prove? The Obama coalition was incredibly powerful and Republicans couldn't beat it. But without Obama on the ballot, Republicans could win. So is that what we're looking at? I think that's a critical question. BT says, thumb up the video, everyone. Yes, thumb up the video. And BT, thank you for your donation. That's incredibly kind of you. And I'm going to end on this. John Suda, I think what you're doing is absolutely great. And I understand what you said about CNN. Still, I think it can be a very slippery slope. It's hard to do what you do and not slip into something dumb. Dude, you're telling me. One more, Mark-a-lot. Mark-a-lot, thank you for the donation to the microphone fund. Yes, folks, if you want to see me not unplug this mic by battering it with my hand, make a donation. It will go, I promise, to a new microphone that I literally have pulled up here and I just have to buy. So if you want to help me support it, it's $169 for the microphone. Do you want to help me support it? Make a donation. I very much appreciate all of you, whether you make a donation or not. Happy Black Friday. It's not a real holiday, but I'll say happy Black Friday. Anyway, I'm off to do family things for the rest of the day. I hope everybody is great. And I will be back Monday with a new video. Again, 2 live streams starting next week. 2 live streams starting next week. Everyone take care. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.